Okay, we're finally going to be able to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while. Because I finally got around to writing it, and we're going to run this whole thing in a day because I can. So, this music mystery has had me thinking about it for the past 6 years since I've heard about it, and I want to talk about it because I feel like this is very unique. You might know the artist, Jim Sullivan, or the story behind him, and actually, I will show you one of his albums. 1 second. You might know Jim Sullivan from his album, UFO, which this is the Vinyl Me Please pink cover variant with Coke bottle green vinyl. This is just a little booklet. The main one that everyone knows is mainly the blue cover, but the original was actually a white cover with the photo like glued to it. And I almost had that like 4 years ago. It was about $250. I almost got it, but then someone snagged it from under me, and I've not been able to find an original copy since. That is like my lifelong mission now. So Jim made 2 albums before he disappeared. One that I just showed called UFO in 1969, which a lot of people know about, and the self-titled Jim Sullivan in 1972. After this, in 75, he left from LA to drive to Nashville in the Volkswagen Beetle, and about a day after or so, they said he was pulled over by police for a suspicion of driving under the influence. And he passed a sobriety test, and later that day, it says he checked into the La Mesa Hotel in New Mexico, and after checking in, left in his car purchasing a bottle of vodka and just left. The following day, he was seen going south of Santa Rosa, near a ranch owned by the Giannitti family. And he was not seen since then. Like, pretty much that's the last sighting of him. His car was found in a nearby ditch, and a lot of his belongings were found in the car, including money, clothes, a box of his unsold records, and most importantly, his guitar. Now, apparently, like, friends around him and all that have said basically his guitar's in there, we're not seeing him again, because apparently he would not just up and leave without said guitar. So that's what made it serious for the family. And after a search from local law enforcement, unfortunately, he was never found. Now, there was a body nearby that, like, they were saying it could have been him, but it was determined after, like, research and all that it was not him. Now, here's where it gets even crazier, because now there are actually theories about what happened to him. And there is something that is, like, a little helpful tip that I have not seen people follow up on or have not seen in a video. That kind of run it short of, like, where it left off, and that's it. So I'll go over the theories first, and then we will talk about the information. So, the first theory, which most outlandish, is he was taken by aliens, and that his album UFO apparently had secret messages within it. Second is, I've heard this a couple places, I don't know if it's 100% like fact within the story, but I heard it in multiple places, so I thought I'd add it in. They said that cops in the area where the car was found pulled him over and, like, killed him. Third is the mafia that owned the ranch, or the Giannitti family, got to him, killed him same way. And then fourth, which is probably, like, the most common sense one in a way, is that he ended up just wandering off into the woods or wherever near that farm, died of heat-related problems, like heat stroke, whatever, and maybe animals unfortunately probably got to him. We don't know. But there is something that no one talks about within any video, is that he might have been alive well within the 1990s. This is kind of on the line of being real or possibly being fake, so keep that in mind, because we don't really have much to go off of other than what was presented. I will also shout out the video that it was from, the channel, in the end of this section, so don't worry, I will give credit. So in the early 1990s, this person whose account is Tracy Pierce 1316 said she worked at a place for people with traumatic brain injury. And she said she worked with a man that pretty much damn near looked like him, and what we're going to do now, I'm going to read her first comment in full. So that way, I'm not paraphrasing, I'm not just kind of saying stuff. We're going to go right from what she typed. There is a part in here where it looks like it kind of skips as well. Maybe she said something twice, but we're going to go over it in full. She says, I worked in a foster home in Eugene, Springfield area, and there was this guy there named Jim who looked a lot like this guy. He said he got beat up and left for dead in the desert, and he crawled back to the road and someone brought him to the hospital. He was paralyzed from the waist down, but would still get himself up every morning and get dressed. I thought he said he was from Nevada, but it was almost 30 years ago, and it was a foster home for people with traumatic brain injuries. He was a nice guy, but kept to himself. This comment was made 6 years ago, and she responded in this comment that she worked there from 1991 to 1994. This is insane if this is true, and 2 years after that, she made another comment and a reply, which I will also read right now. I just watched another video about this guy, and the story adds up. The man I cared for was named Jim. He was drunk, he got beat up in the desert and left for dead, dragged himself to the road, and was found and brought to the hospital. He is or was a paraplegic, living in a traumatic brain injury foster home in Eugene, Oregon in the 90s. He played guitar and used to get himself up, dressed, and into a wheelchair every morning. Now for the reply, which is in response to someone trying to contact her about this. I'll leave that part out. She said, "You need to contact Senior and Disabled Services in the Eugene-Springfield area and ask if you can get records for foster homes registered through them from 1991 to 1994. I was living in Oregon during this time, but I believe I worked with him in 92 and 93. He always wore a jean jacket and almost got in a fight with another resident when I put them near each other in the living room. Jim was a nice guy, but him and the other client were like oil and water. It's been a very long time, and there are still some things I remember about him. I'm sorry, I do not have the address to the foster home." That is huge news, and no one has talked about this. And also, shout out to the video that this came from. It came from the channel named Lorden Arts. I'll also put it in the description. So, yeah, if this is real, this is wild. And I still have not been able to find, past this, anyone else talking about the nursing home situation. That's kind of what I'm going to, deem it, instead of, the foster home, basically like a nursing home. It's for people with, brain injuries and all that. I've never seen anyone talk about this, other than some passive comments here or there, other than this one. No one's ever talked about a video on it that I've been able to find, so I figured I'd do that. And about 2 years after this video, and the original comment, in 2019, Light in the Attic Records, who has pretty much been the saving grace in preserving his legacy, they released what would be his final album, If the Evening Were Dawn. Which, honestly, it's labeled as, demos / other takes or whatever the hell. But this is an amazing album. As it is, this is, super clear not to be a demo album. Because normally when you hear demos, they're not really mixed 100% perfectly. They might be muddy or, not the best quality. Because they're demos. They're probably mixed quick and just sent just to get an idea for a song. But these were really good. So that's why I'm was this supposed to be for, another album? Were these, legitimate outtakes, not demos? I don't know. But regardless, as of right now, that's pretty much where the story ends with him, unfortunately. Hopefully we might find another tape from him in the future and Light in the Attic and put it out to, press it even more. But I think right now we got a good, trio of albums from him. And honestly, each one is amazing in its own way. If you liked the video, let me know down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever. I'm going to see you in the next one.